Okay, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and thank you and welcome, everybody. My name is Som Jandu, the president of CPH, and you are listening to myself and Ellen Kramer, the founder.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to CPH.
We're going to walk through some slides and tell you a little bit about us. But before, we're just going to remind ourselves what homeopathy actually is. So here we can see a slide of the various healing arts that are used all around the world. If we start from the bottom, we can see there are ways to physically help us heal. And the tools that each healing art uses are different, and the way they act is different. So we have physical tools such as manipulation, chiropractic, osteopathy, etc. Then we move on up to chemical ways to interact with our body to help it realign itself. And many of you are familiar with these methods. You may even be practitioners in them. Then we move into the quantum energetic field, which is what we all essentially are. And that's where we can see all the various healing arts that use energy to help realign our bodies. And you see right at the top, it says homeopathy. Homeopaths use remedies. I love that word because it remedies the situation. And they use the energy and help the body's energy align itself, its vibration, and get back on track. Which is often when someone is ill, they'll say, I don't feel myself. I feel off. They look exactly the same, but they feel different. And if we look at someone, we can ask them, what's the matter? That means their physical matter is vibrating differently to what they normally are. That is what we call dis-ease. That person is not at ease with how they are vibrating. So we understand this concept, but so do the other healing arts. So that's where we are right now. We're talking about homeopathy now because over the last few decades, people have become more aware of the dangers of other chemicals interacting with their body. And if we go back to ancient times, we all grew up with things such as herbs and natural remedies anyway. And homeopathy is an evolution and an improvement over and above even herbs. With the pandemic that happened a few years ago, people want natural root cause solutions and not just treating symptoms which come up, disappear, and reappear. This is a holistic approach, and we understand the word holistic to mean treat me as a whole person, not just a symptom at the end of my body. This can maintain my health and prevent other diseases manifesting. Homeopathy is affordable, accessible, and safe. It doesn't break the bank. We don't need to claim insurance for it and have a 401 savings plan to be able to treat ourselves. The beauty of this, it works with all other therapies, which is why it's called complementary. It's a standalone system of medicine anyway, but it can complement everything else without interacting or having any side effects whatsoever. In the history of homeopathy, no one's ever died from a homeopathic overdose or a side effect. Whereas drugs, we're in the USA now, I think it's the second leading cause of death, the use of drugs. Amazing. This empowers everybody to take control of their health and their well-being. What is homeopathy? It's a natural system of healing. It is the second largest system of medicine in the world. It's even bigger than Ayurveda in India. It's based on the principle that like cures like. And if we look at this diagram here, we can tune musical instruments with a tuning fork because that can be at a distance, send a vibration to align the musical notes, and everything is in harmony. So homeopathy helps the body restore its harmony. And the way remedies work, they're individualized. It's not, I have a headache, you have a headache, let's both take an aspirin. Because if you understand how my harmony has gone off, I might need a different frequency to tune me back in, to use layman's terms. So therefore, it's the most specific, tailored, and individualized system of medicine that ever exists up until now. How do the remedies work? Just like ripples in the pond, they act like a nudge to send a vibration through our bodies and transcend across the rest of the body to help us heal. So we don't need to keep repeated doses. We don't need mega doses. We use as little as we need to send that and let it permeate all through every cell in our being. They're gentle, they're no side effects, and they're suitable for everybody from the cradle to the grave. Here at CPH, how do we operate? Why are we different? Well, our mission is to remain the global leader in practical homeopathic education. This means we don't just teach you theory. You get hands-on, you get stuck in, and you apply it from your very first module. And the results you get will astound you and impress us. Our other mission is to make learning affordable, efficient, and effective. Our vision is to have our CPH homeopaths in every country in the world to help their patients and clients. And our values are to share our learnings as we learn to keep homeopathy progressing. And we're here, Ellen and I are here in Rhode Island right now to have 3 intensive days of learning and sharing what we've learnt over the last few months since the last meet and teach, which is over and above and addition to the course that the students are on. What this means is that the students have a lifelong learning. It also means that our graduates who have done their learning, already qualified, and are some of the best homeopaths on earth, keep learning with us. But what's more, they will teach us from their experience, and together we all grow. No other college or university in the world has this philosophy of sharing and learning post qualifying. So we say to our students here that when you enroll with us, it's not just a course fee, it's an entry fee, because once you're in for the rest of your life. What makes us unique? We're the only college that focuses on case analysis. We don't call people and describe them as remedies. Nobody is a nux vomica or a pulsatilla. They might be acting in a way that's representative of some key notes of that remedy, but what we want to understand is how and why and when did they become that way. As we say, treat the root and not the fruit. We don't do theory. We don't need to memorize books. Books are cheap. We are not cheap. Do things that books cannot do and think. Once we think and we find out what needs curing to get to the root cause, we then teach them the right methods to empower them. And there are many, many methods. This means that the success rate and their confidence and their practice grows. So they earn while they learn, whilst they're learning, so they're efficient practitioners when they qualify. Having more than one method makes them adaptable to any situation that their clients may be presenting with. If everything you have is a hammer, you try and look for a nail to bang in. There are other colleges that teach only one or two methods. That's limiting in itself. This is the thing that makes us different from everybody else. We teach our students to be independent, free thinkers. We don't teach protocols or recipes. We show you how you can make your own recipes. And as I like to say to my students, we make you master chefs, not people who follow recipes, where you create. You look at a human, you understand how they got to where they are, you know which method to apply to support their body, to restore their vital force, and then you put your combination or single remedies together and you support the body with other stuff as well. If you join us and you're a member of us, you're part of a global community of like-minded practical homeopaths that think differently to every other homeopath on this planet. And when you think differently, you can treat, I don't even know the word for it, amazingly. We have nearly 4,500 students that have graduated over the last nearly 30 years. The patients that we and they have treated are increasing every day, every week, every month. And we have so many webinars, which we'll now digitize and share for the rest of the community, the student world, and the general population. We're here in America, and we have the largest USA presence in America to teach homeopathy than all the other colleges combined. This does not include courses where you learn a little bit of homeopathy, but you are not a practitioner. We're on about the people that actually give you a qualification to practice. So if you join us, when you join us, you're part of a movement that is changing the world, one practitioner at a time, such as you. Currently, we have over 160 students, many more already graduated. And the patients being treated here are increasing in number again every day. And we have live teaching events. Right now, we are in Newport, Rhode Island. And in a few months' time, we'll be in Michigan. What do we teach? How do we teach it? Of course, we teach homeopathy. We also teach nutrition. Nutrition are the ingredients of the body, and the homeopathy is the recipe. It tells the body how to orchestrate its healing, but it needs the tools. We can support that with herbs to reach deep. They can be curative in their own right, but when they've lost their way, homeopathy is central to everything we do. We also can supplement the body where it's unable to extract from foods or nutrition, or if someone is undernourished or malnourished, they always need supplementation. We can add them and give them nutrition at a cellular level with the cell salts. We have bowel nosodes, which not just help the routes of elimination, they help the mindset of people. They also help restore and balance their personalities. We have flower essences. They support in a gentle and deep manner. We have meditative provings, which help people heal on an esoteric and generational level. And as we just touched on earlier, we also help improve our practitioners' mindsets and those of our clients. How do you become a professionally licensed homeopath with us? Well, there are two routes we'll come to in a minute. There is no start date. You start when you are ready, anywhere in the world, at a time that suits you. You download your lessons and you begin. But every one of you is assigned a personal tutor, and they help you develop individually, tailored to your specific learning needs. And where a tutor might differ, you can ask to change to another tutor that's more suited to your needs. There are no exams. Many of us are older than 20 years old, middle-aged, even seniors. The last time we did exams when we were at high school or university. We don't need to do that. These are practical. You qualify by actual live grad cases, taking cases, and assignments where you practice what you're learning. You take your time, you discuss it with your tutors and your colleagues, and then you submit your work. There is no failure here, but we can review. So every time we review, we improve. In addition to that, there are clinics, tutorials, webinars, audios, videos, and so much more to enhance your learning. It's a fully holistic way to learn, even though at first blush it seems like you're on the other side of the world just downloading things off the internet. And the beauty of our college, every one of your tutors are actually CPH qualified and trained directly by Ellen and myself. So you're learning firsthand. They've done your course, they've done your assignments, they've done your modules, and they know exactly what you're doing. We don't hire in people to give opinions on a course that they have not done. They can't guide you the way that you need to do. That's only in-house. So there's two ways. One is the professional training course. This is for people who have never done homeopathy before. It's a degree level course over 3 stages. There are 10 modules per stage, and each stage, certificate level, diploma level, and then your professional license. The second route is the postgraduate. These are for people who are already existing healthcare practitioners, existing homeopaths, doctors, nurses, etc. It's a deeper, immersive, intensive course because it does away with the anatomy and physiology, which they have already studied, and gets straight in with case after case after case. However, both methods end up with the same qualification and allow you to use the letters LCPH after your name, a licentiate from the College of Practical Homeopathy. Only when you graduate will you understand what that means around the world. This is something that we find interesting. The split of our students, nearly 2/3 are postgraduate. That means people who are already homeopaths with other colleges, doctors, nurses, they enroll here to take their education and knowledge of homeopathy further than they've had it anywhere else. And then we have a cohort of 40% who have never studied it before. That is the confidence that we need that what we are teaching is of value, is of different, and surpasses anything else that is out there because our students tell us this. And we promise to you and commit to you to keep that going every day, every week, when we travel around the world. This is a learning pyramid. Every educational institution will have this. There are lectures, there are reading, but at the bottom of the pyramid, the active learning is where the real learning takes place. We discuss concepts, we stretch our ideas, we challenge ourselves, and then we put them into practice. That's how we really learn. You learn by doing. Everything else is knowledge. Experience is the true knowledge. Everything else is information. Sorry. And then to take that further, you teach others because all that does is multiply the learning you have because when you're teaching others, they bring their cases to you. So your depth and knowledge accelerates. This is something unique to us at CPH. Patients come to us with their symptoms, they have problems. We teach etiology before symptomology, and we always say aim to discover the cause. So we have a model here called the three T's of disease. The first T is a trauma. Have they physically been injured? Have they had an accident or a birth trauma? That's quite easy to deal with. Are they toxic? Toxicity could be environmental toxins, medications, recreational toxins, drugs, etc., or diet. If they're not had a trauma and they're not toxic, it will be a thought manifesting through the body. Stress, burnout, fast-paced lifestyle, mental, emotional issues going on, grief, shock, betrayal, you get the picture. The mind suffers and the body cries out. This model is very powerful, it's very accurate, and it lets you get to the root cause. Excuse me. So when we put it all together, we have something called CEO and the CPH way. CEO in this instance stands for cause, effects, and obstacles to cure. If we remove the obstacles to cure, the patient is already on their way to healing. We determine the cause of the effects and we treat the cause. And the effects are just symptoms. Symptoms are the signs of the body, disease is the dialogue. Are we listening to this or are we suppressing it? If we suppress it, we are no longer listening to the body. Once we have that, it enables us to analyze the case, choose a method, choose our rubrics, which is the language of homeopathy, repertoires, which orders the language and comes out and suggests the relevant remedy or remedies. Once we differentiate them, we learn the nuances of how each remedy can fit that individual person. Then we select it, what potency, how often, and how to help them heal. Then we look at how else we're going to support the body. It's quite simple. So we've taken the myths and mysticism out of homeopathy, made it practical. We give a framework of success. So students are not lost, they're not confused. You have the confidence and the competence to help anybody that you meet. Once you know the cause, there's a flow chart. This is derived from a book called Methods in Practical Homeopathic Prescribing, written by Kramer, the founder. It's a beautiful flow chart which guides you if you're confused. And on the left-hand side, you have a bunch of methods called part patient methods. They help to heal the patient in parts or the parts that are not working. And then you have whole patient methods to treat them holistically once they're aligned. And these can help you have a rapid and effective healing. We also use observational tools such as the Chinese 5 elements. The body never lies and it always leaves clues. So if you focus on the bottom right of this graph, of this table, we have the lungs which have a time and we have the large intestines which have a time. This is the time where these organs dip into the universal life force, which the Chinese call qi. The Indians call it prana. It's the same thing. This vital force. They dip in and they recharge themselves. If there's a weakness and they're unable to recharge themselves, the weakness could manifest in a disease in one of these organs. These organs, which have a time modality, are called the yin and yang organs. They govern the underlying organs, the respiratory tract, the skin, and the hair, and they open through the nose. So if we have somebody coming to us with eczema, skin issues, hair loss, things in the nose, nasal polyps, sinusitis, we know that all these organs are connected together, or IBS, constipation, diarrhea, ulcerative colitis, asthma, bronchitis, grief, deep sighing, emphysema, you get the picture. These are just names the allopaths give. The body doesn't know names, it knows energy. The energy tied to all of these is the energy of grief, the emotion of grief. So we know if the body's talking to us and there are no obstacles, and we look to the three T's and we say, well, which of the three T's have caused a disturbance in the energy which is manifesting in this tissue, in this human? So the phrase we have here is, the issue isn't in the tissue, but the tissue is manifesting that person's issue. That's the way we teach, that's the way we think. And for those of you listening, you'll see and understand that it's different to anything else you've seen and heard and understood. Thank you for listening to us. Ellen and I are here. Please do ask us any questions, anything you've heard about the course, and we are ready to listen and talk to you. Thank you. Deanne, are there any questions for us if you're here?
I don't see any posted in the chat.
Okay. Are there any general questions anyone wants to post in the chat or ask us while we're here?
Now's your opportunity to get those burning questions out.
Ellen, while we wait for people to have a think, is there anything you want to share and add to what we've just discussed?
What I'd like to share is thinking outside the box, having the freedom to analyze a case and understand what is going on. It's the case analysis that makes the difference when you're treating patients. If you don't understand the patient's story, how are you going to guide them back to health? It's not the remedies that cure. It's actually the patient that does the healing. And when we teach you that knowledge and the understanding of observing the patient, analyzing who and what they are and how they got to sit in front of you, what their weaknesses are, how you need to support them to come back into alignment. That's what this training is about. It's about alignment to who you truly are. So that's what I'd like to add about the training. Well, we've stunned them into silence.
Stun them into silence. Maybe, I can see that we have a couple of our students and graduates here. Maybe somebody can volunteer and share why they joined the course. These are not plants, by the way, for those listening in. We did not know who was going to attend. So if somebody wants to volunteer and share some thoughts, even in the chat to say what you'd learned, what you found out of it, how other people might think, please share with us. Silence. Well, whilst we
Well,
do that,
I'll jump in because you know I'm not scared to talk. This is
hey,
Kristen.
Kristen. Hey, Kristen.
Hello. I'll turn this on
Hi.
and say hello. Oops, let me put this back on my screen over here. So I think that CPH is a great choice because they go after the cause. And so much of Western medicine does not treat the cause. They're just treating the symptoms always. And so it's a breath of fresh air to be able to talk to my clients and get to the root cause and truly treat the root cause so they experience healing. And for many of them, it is such a relief to them that someone is acknowledging that there is more to the story than just the symptoms they're bringing to the table. So for me, that is what has been the biggest shift in the way that I help people through homeopathy is looking at that CEO, the cause, effects, obstacles to cure, and going back to the actual cause. So
Thank you, Kristen. For those listening, looking in, that was Kristen. Kristen's a CPH tutor, actually was the first USA tutor in CPH. So she's a bit of a pioneer herself. She has a teaching background, so she can often articulate what we're trying to say better than us as well. And she's a deep understanding of CEO. Thank you for sharing that with us, Kristen. I know you came from another place, another course, and you've added this to your learning and you've helped us grow. So really appreciative of that. Do we have any questions still, if anybody?
Katie.
Hi, Katie.
No, I think from my perspective, I found that I hadn't fully realised the amount of support a person needed in the background. And I think that is another aspect on top of what you've said, is that how much support you need to actually help the body to do the learning, the healing.
Sometimes we need to support it for many, many years. Sometimes the learning is deep, protracted. It brings up emotions we thought we'd buried, and we need support on the journey, not just with nutrition either. So thank you for that. Sometimes it can be very rapid. Ellen, do you want to share a story? Thank you for that, Katie. Katie is one of our graduates as well. So she's gone through her experience, her growth, and using it to help people. So this is real world people telling you real world stuff, not us sat here who talk about a course. Ellen, I'd like you to flip that. Yes, the learning is deep and requires a lot of support. Can you share when you go to Ghana and you see people with a good constitution, that sometimes the healing can be very rapid, very easy, and where sometimes only one remedy will do the job?
Yes. One of my greatest learnings was understanding different constitutions. So until I started working in Ghana, where I originally come from, I hadn't understood that there was different constitutions being expressed. So the way I was taught originally was we were all just human beings. But what I found strange was when I got to Ghana, I could give single remedies and see amazing results within minutes. So I remember being at the clinic and a woman came in with malaria. She was suffering with the rigors. So the rigors is when you're shaking because you're so sick and you're very, very cold, but in fact the temperature is very, very high. So she sat there shaking, and we did a blood test to make sure that she had malaria. So we gave her a combination of malaria officinalis with China, arsenicum, and a few natmure and a few other remedies. We did it in a 10M. We popped the remedy in her mouth, and within 2 seconds, the rigors disappeared. She sat there and we waited. Within about 5 minutes, her temperature had already started to go down and reduce. We told her to go and sit in the waiting room because we didn't want her to leave until we were sure that she was a lot better. She went and she lay in the waiting room and slept for about 40 minutes. And then we heard her running to the restroom, as you call it here, and we could hear her throwing up. Then she walked back, she came back into the room. She sat down, her temperature was back to normal. And we asked her how she felt. She said, I think I'm cured. And she walked off back to work. Now, here, if you came to see your GP, and this happened to me, I saw my GP, I had malaria, I was very ill. This is before I got into homeopathy. I ended up in A&E in an isolation ward. And they couldn't get my temperature down. They didn't believe me that I had malaria. So they kept me in an isolation ward on a drip. Everybody who came to see me came in a hazmat suit. Okay. And they just fed me paracetamol and eventually gave me a malaria tablet. And then I got better. So that was 4 days of trauma in an isolation ward. Now I treat my, malaria, typhoid, any of those diseases in Ghana within 48 hours, they're completely better. Nobody believes it if you understand the course. The student at the clinic, we had a little girl who came in, a baby, she was about 18 months. And I know around about 18 months, children are given the vaccine. So I asked the mother, her temperature is very high. She was very, very, floppy. Parents will walk for about 3 hours to get to the clinic. So we wanted to make sure that baby was absolutely fine. So I asked the question, has this child been vaccinated? The mother said yes. I said, great. Okay, now we know. 10M of, what is it? MMR. She had just had the MMR, so we did 10M of MMR with Nux, Carc, and arsenicum, belladonna, etc. Put it in a combination, popped it in her mouth. We made the mother wait. She sat. 3 hours later, this child came back to life. Her mother started feeding her. She was now running around. We gave her more of the remedy and we let the mother go. So that's what you see when you've got a healthy, strong constitution. That's a big difference to what I see in clinic in the UK, where you've got to do the cause, effects, and obstacles to cure. You've got to remove the toxicity, put the nutrition back into the system. So when you're dealing with somebody who is well resourced on a cellular level, that's their constitution. It's the cells. with all the right nutrients in place. When you direct it with your remedies, the body responds almost instantaneously. If you don't have those observational skills to understand that and ask the right questions, you don't have the context for prescribing your homeopathy. And that is one of the problems when you learn homeopathy the traditional way, because everything is focused on the remedies. They're the last things you go to when you're learning practical homeopathy. You go to the repertory. You understand why those symptoms are there. You have a context. You've done your analysis. Now you can try to pull together the cause of why those symptoms are there in reps. We call it rep speak. Once you're there, you can see the remedies, but the rep work is actually doing the work for you. It's doing the prescribing for you. You
We say
see.
that here, don't we? We say do the rep work and the rep will do the work.
Exactly. And I'd really love to hear from some of our students how they found rep work. Michelle, you're muted still. You're muted.
There you go.
Hi,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Yeah. Hi, how are you? Yeah, no, I'm happy to share a couple of things that, I mean, one, I was thinking when you were talking, and then I'll get to the rep work, but I think the unique thing about CPH is the taking the cases like throughout all of your study, because that is, I mean, you learn so much from taking the cases. Like if you're just studying it's so different than just studying the remedies in the book. And, because I mean, I had used homeopathy as a lay person for years when my kids were growing up, but I was always just I was just chasing the symptoms. I didn't really understand about how to take the case, how to look at the timeline, how to find those obstacles to cure. And I think by encouraging your students, and it's part of the course to take cases really from the beginning, you learn so much. And I don't think other colleges do that. So I think that's really unique. And I think that's important for people to know that is really key to the learning. And I think the rep work too is interesting. Like what because Ellen's my tutor, and the first module of the course, I'm on the graduate course. I mean, I was practically ready to throw the book across the room because, it's like it's so new, it's new trying to figure out how to kind of word the rep work and then how to find, like I worked with the books initially, which for me was good because it helped me get to know, like to really train myself to kind of create the rep work. But then, yeah, once you've been taking cases, you start to get a much clearer picture and things jump out at you. You look at the timeline and you're suddenly like, I can, you can see things much more clearly because you've been doing it in practice. So I think it's really good.
Thank you for that, Michelle. That's what we've learned, that when students come and do homework assignments, and then when they graduate, we're learning that they learn to think in rubrics. They don't think symptoms. They don't think remedies. They don't look at someone and say, "Oh, I think you need pulsatilla." What's your reasoning? They'll say, "Well, symptoms from ailments from grief, needing consolation, from being lonely, etc." They put rubrics together and then they formulate that remedy picture. So when you can think rubrics and you take a case, it makes you think differently. And that thinking differently is what we say the difference that makes a difference in the case. Now, we're in the USA. We've driven along, we've had a bit of a road trip here. We've seen billboards advertising drugs and medicines. You're not allowed to do that in the UK. So we know this is a nation that's heavily drug dependent, medicine dependent, allopathic dependent, fear driven. If you don't take this, you could die. Read the newspaper, we watch the TV. Did you know 1 in 2 people do this, 1 in 3 people have that? X number of we're thrown with stats, and that makes us very frightened. So we are very ready to take drugs. Then we have jobs and things that force us to take drugs, be vaccinated to work in certain industries. So when we have all this, and we study a form of homeopathy called classical, that remedy is not going to touch me because I've got a drug layer, I'm toxic, I may even have side effects which change my body from being normal to abnormal by virtue of the drugs I'm taking. So in the book, the remedy looks good, but if I have all these layers, I cannot even heal myself. So many times we hear from people like yourself, they say, we've tried homeopathy, it didn't work. And then we say, well, what method did you use? Well, just one. Well, That's like me trying to build a house with just one nail. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
So as you said, what you're learning is, and you're applying it, every left method, however they come, if they're toxic, let's detoxify them first to get them to be them and then treat them. We can't treat them when they're no longer them and they're somebody else. Worse still if they've had a vaccine, which changes them chemically. Worse if they've had the pill, which changes them hormonally, changes their chromosomes. Worse if they had an operation and the organ's not functioning, because that's an internal burden that the body cannot then balance. So the body's out of balance. But we can't expect something from 300 years ago to work if the modern day patient is not the same. None of us, we don't eat the same foods. We're sitting here talking about all through Wi-Fi. We came on an aeroplane that didn't exist when homeopathy got invented. People don't even eat the food from the farms anymore. They eat it from stores. We have chicken that's bleached. I'm learning that in the USA. We don't have that in England, though. We don't bleach our chicken in stores.
No.
So every country teaches us different things.
Yeah.
Every food stuff. One thing we will say that we've learned from our travels around the world, people are often searching for superfoods. There is no such thing as a superfood. There's just food. Every country has in its native land the foods and herbs that will support the people of that land. People go off to Siberian ginseng, Ghanaian moringa, Indian turmeric, curcumin, think of their miracle drugs, to the Middle East for black seed oil. They all work. They work all over the world. One of the greatest remedies that everybody knows is Arnica montana. It comes from Montana. It's a little flower that grows in the mountains. People tread on it every day and it comes back to normal. So it's a widely used thing. So every country, every place has its own remedies. So we don't have to chase globally. We have everything we need in the land we're in. And as Ellen will always say, if we stick to what our ancestors ate, we have a better chance of being healthy like they used to be, you know? So that's our approach. It's a common sense approach to homeopathy, but our common sense approach creates miraculous cures. And we're pleased with that. Has anybody got any questions for us? We've heard from our
Yes.
students. Thank you. Yes. Hey, Jen.
Yes. Julie Agemeyer said, I just want to say that I'm so happy to have enrolled. I'm just beginning. I am curious about meditative provings. Would you please share a little more about what they are?
Oh, we would love to. I'm going to hesitate for that, and I'm going to ask Ellen to pause for a second. We can. We're going to skim on a bit because if we share too much, we'll say you have to enroll to learn it, and you've enrolled, so that's good. So we'll share a little bit. Over to you, Ellen, because my thing is come and join us, and then you'll know the answers. But you're already in. So Ellen, share share what you go to. Thank you for that, Julie. It's a great question.
They are what they say, they're meditative provings. These are remedies that have not gone down the traditional methods of provings, which was a long haul where people took the remedy and 6 weeks later, as they were taking the remedy, they were collating information. With the meditative provings, this is groups of people, and we are starting that at CPH. You've already done 2 meditative provings here at CPH, in which the students get together and they don't know what they're being given. They go inward to find the answers, the essence of what that remedy, that substance is about. And it can be done quite easily, but when you do the meditative proving, it goes much deeper into the traumas and esoteric aspects of the substance. So here we're going to talk about Cape Elmina, which is a meditative proving that was done in 2018. I'm not going to go into depth because we're going to talk about it here in
Students tomorrow.
with the students, students tomorrow. But it's a major trauma remedy that helps to bring the heart and the ego back into balance, because for a lot of people, they're out of balance. When you're in fear, you give your power over to your ego. You close the heart down. And this is one of the remedies that takes people out of trauma that can be passed down from generation to generation. So This came out of a meditation process. It's not that long. So there's a group of amazing remedies that have been proved through meditation. Now, old-fashioned homeopaths are not happy with this. They don't like it. But as we are all energy, the information for every substance is held in the library of the universe. Once you meditate, what you're getting is access to that. And we're writing it down so that we can, use those remedies. We try them out on our patients, especially in student clinic. And I think, Michelle, you walked straight in your first student clinic, you arrived and you found yourself doing a meditative proving. You're muted.
Yep.
Yes, I did. And it was great. I mean, it was, I had to open my mind but I'm really glad I did, and I'm really glad I got to experience that. It was really quite an experience. So
Michelle, thank you for that. I'm going to add to what Ellen said. You've touched on something there, Ellen, very deep, very profound. But I'm going to try and keep it very simple.
Okay.
You're right.
That's why I've got you here to keep it simple.
You said we open up the library of the universe, but it's the memory of energy. Now, this is a very important concept, people. We say meditative proofing. Meditate is when we silence our mind, silence our thoughts, and we go inward to feel the vibration of that remedy that we've just ingested and allowed to permeate through us. And that will capture, because people often ask us, how can you treat ancestral, energetic, generational grief and trauma? Well, this universe is, we're told, it's 13 billion years old. So we are also taught every day by NASA, every week they discover new energy, new information, new planets, new systems, solar systems and stars that have existed from way back when in history, and the energy they're already capturing now. They tell us about the birth of stars, they tell us about things that are about to explode, and every couple of weeks their telescopes send back images, their satellites send back images of new discoveries. How can we discover things that are billions of years old and their energy is trillions of light years away, and they can make a picture of it? So this shows us that the energy in the universe is eternal and it does not disappear. We are energy, our cells are energy, our atoms and molecules are energy vibrating. That captures that vibration. So if we think that can be billions of years, we're only talking a couple of generations in our families, which isn't even 100 or 200 years. So when we understand that energy that NASA can capture can tell us about planets, it's very easy to understand the energy passed down generationally is captured in our cells now, and we manifest that. Even though our lives might have been perfect, our ancestors may not have been. So there are remedies that can take us out of bondage. I like that word.
Yeah.
And being trapped. Whether it's the Berlin Wall as a remedy, whether it's Cape Palmina,
Or even yellow.
or even yellow. There's trauma captured around the earth. Some people go to sacred sites. Some people sit under a tree. Some people just sit there and breathe. That very air has the energy. It has the 7 elements of the rainbow, which correspond in color and number to the chakras in the Ayurvedic system. So if our very energy is aligned with the very air we breathe, which is have the same chakras with the same colors, we can see how everything is connected. So when people sit with a meditative proving and go inwards, they're actually capturing all the stuff that's outwards, that's transcended through humans. And that is the power of meditative provings. Ellen said the old homeopaths. True. The old homeopaths sat with a quill, with lamp, with a candle. They didn't have aeroplanes over their heads. They didn't have Wi-Fi, gasoline, railways even. So theirs was a different world. We can't treat modern patients in this new world with ancient remedies. If that was the case, Ellen and I would not have been here on an aeroplane made by the Wright brothers. We came in a jumbo jet. So that's movement. So in the quantum era, this energy is everything. We are now only touching the power of homeopathy. And in the next few decades, it will astound everybody in the world. Why are we here in the USA? They say make America great again, make it healthy again. We say Maha, make America homeopathic again. You've got the right people in the right place trying to help heal you in a natural way. So you're at the cusp of this wave that's going to carry on past any administration now, because people are switching. The younger generation are more woke. They're less likely to get drunk. They're very body conscious. They're very socially responsible. So the whole world is starting to care more. Homeopathy is on the rise. So this, Julie, you asked the question about meditative provings. They will be used more and more as people understand them more and deeper. And we can only add to the remedies that have gone before. So our universe of possible options to help people is expanding, as is the universe. Hope that answers it. It's a bit philosophical as well, but that gives us that we're at the leading edge of thought, doing things. And tomorrow we're doing improving with our students here, aren't we? They don't know what it is. We're very excited to see what comes out. So when you're with a college that's at the leading edge of thought, we're excited because we don't even know what's going to come next. We've already got new provings to do. Ellen and I were on a 3 or 4 day road trip here. We landed some days ago, went through 5 or 6 states to end up here in Rhode Island, and we've been inspired by remedies that have not yet been created. So there's a long list. But anyway, I hope that answers that question. Deanne, are there any more questions?
Well, there's some comments here. Brianna said, I have to jump off, but thank you so much for this. Really
Pleasure.
great. Hope to be able to enroll soon.
Excellent.
Karen Langren said, I am a CPH graduate, LCPH, and am very grateful for all I have learned directly from Som.
Thank you,
Excuse me, Som Jandu, who was my tutor. Excuse me. But also Ellen Kramer, who graciously shared her wisdom as well. I got to get a drink of water.
Good.
Sorry. The best
That's okay.
thing of many things about CPH is the live case taking and support system. It is special, unlike no other homeopathic training I have had over the years.
Thank you.
And then Julie Eggemeyer said, the meditative provings sound fascinating. Thank you. And Leah Cousin said, amazing remedy, kelp elamina.
Hey, Palmina.
Yeah.
Epimina. Okay. And Julie said, thank you. I can't wait to learn more about it. So that's all the comments.
Thank you. Well, if there's nothing else, I know you ladies have been waiting for a while till we get online. Thank you so much. Don't go away just yet. Ellen, any closing remarks from you?
If you haven't joined us at CPH, we look forward to having you join us. It will be an interesting experience and life-changing. I think a lot of our students would say that they are not the same person
Yes.
as they entered and when they left, and that growth will continue and continued. We always look forward to our graduates and students sharing their knowledge on our Signal and WhatsApp groups. That's the way we share and grow, and we call that Ubuntu.
Perfect. Thank you, Ellen. People, there's an email for me there. You can directly contact me should you wish. I'm going to stop our recording now, and we will see where we go from there, okay? But please do reach out for any questions and let us know. We'll be happy to hear from you. Stay in touch, and we hope to